All right, today I wanted to go over what Giants has released information on. There's even a video, but they've released some information about all the complaints apparently about the wait on mods, the mod hub, and just all sorts of different things that they were talking about. So I wanted to share that with you, and I want to kind of go over a couple of things because I, of course, have a rebuttal. Because I have some issues with what they're saying here. Other things, I'm very, very glad that they brought it out and they're letting people understand exactly how the modding process works with them and with modders. But let's get into this really quick. But before we do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button so you know we have new content coming out. Now let's get into this really quick here. So it says Giants has released an article about mods and some complaints from modders and general information how modding works. Now I'm speaking regular. I'm not going to talk like this short choppy crap that they wrote. What this makes the Farming Simulator, what makes this, I don't even know what they're trying to say. What this make the Farming Simulator unique and many more insights. English is not their first language. Obviously, this is not an American game, so we will give them the benefit of the doubt. So it says, why do we support mods? It says, while various, but sadly increasingly less, game companies allow and support modifications to customize the experience yourself for a variety of legitimate reasons. We believe in two things. A, letting players do even more with the game than what we offer ourselves, and B, that our efforts are worth it to actively, instead of just passively, support it, are worth it for everyone. Well, I'm just going to stop right there. That our efforts, I haven't seen the effort that they're talking about. Let's just be real about that. Now, I get it. I mean, I know of like 5 major modders that are out there. And I know a lot of these guys are pumping out mods like crazy. And also in Giants' defense, you have some stupid ass mods out there like a broom. Why would you just send a broom to the mod hub? It's the dumbest thing you could ever do. It's stupid. Stop doing that. Because we're going to get into it, like why it takes so long. And that's a prime example of why it takes so long. I'm going to submit this shovel as a mod. Why? You can't use it for anything legitimately, so just stop. But anyways, I haven't seen the effort on their end, but whatever. It says the history of Farming Simulator and Giant software is rooted in modifications that have been not only allowed, but encouraged from the start. Some of our most dedicated and long-time colleagues started exactly there, on the forums, in the modding scene, which is the reason why mods are and will always be an important part of Farming Simulator. Okay. It says, what's different in our approach? Most games that support mods have some form of official platform. Some are hosted by the developers themselves. Some are handled through an external infrastructure like the Steam Workshop. Others are uploaded to a variety of privately organized platforms. Kind of like, I think what they're talking about is like Melon Loader. If you go to Nexus Mods, they have all kinds of mods there, and one of those that you have to use for like Farthest Frontier is called Melon Loader. It's an external thing that runs the same time. Kind of like back in the day, if you played Command and Conquer, you had to have those separate little programs that ran in the background for all your little cheats. You know, or you can just go to the mod hub that they have. So it says most of them, whether official or not, only curate submitted mods, if at all. Automated processes will check for basic functionality of the mod itself, not for the functionality of its parts or the overall quality. That doesn't say overall, but that's what I'm going to assume it's supposed to be. We want to do more than just check for viruses and the ability to load the mod. Now, let me stop there. I do commend Giants for having the mod hub. I really do. Because at least you know whether you're on PC or whether you're on console, whatever you get out of the mod hub is definitely going to be safe. Unlike going to, I don't know, let's see, I talked about it in the live, King Mods, and you suddenly get a virus. So, yes, let's give them credit where credit is due. Thank you for the mod hub. There are safe places to go, but as they're saying, the mod hub is 100% safe for you to download. So, yes. So it says we created the official mod hub for safe functioning mods. Yes, I give them the benefit of the doubt for that one. I do, 100%. PC, the biggest issue is you got places out there like that King Mods where you go, you try to download something that looks cool, and then all of a sudden you got 60 pop-ups that are popping up on your screen. That's bullshit. In this day and age, you shouldn't be having that at all. You just shouldn't. It says we not only curate but hands-on test mods in our QA department. Well, there's where I have my problem. Now, you guys, anybody watching this, you're welcome to comment. I'm looking for your comment. But I have a problem with that one. We not only curate, but hands-on test mods in our QA department. I call bullshit. Because, first of all, as we go further down, they're saying there's over 1,500 mods. Okay? Well, if you're hands testing every single mod, then how in the hell did we get things like the Kinsey multi-fruit planter in 22 that was so blatantly messed up, and yet you hand tested it, so it should have worked? Okay, let's move on to I've got a couple examples. I never pronounced the name correctly, but Sapaka Wow Wow, I think it's SZPA KAOWO. They did an update on the map, and if you hand test the mods, maybe you don't hand test updates, because it was completely broken, unplayable whatsoever. It wouldn't save. There was things that wouldn't delete. I can go on and on and on. That's just two examples. And I know there are people out there that can throw a comment out there and talk about all the other ones. So I call bullshit on your hand testing on all the mods. I think it probably goes to QA. They load it up, be like, oh, it loaded. Oh, I'm driving it. It seems to be working. Cool, pass it. That's probably more along the lines of what we're getting. So you can change that to half-ass hands-on test mods. We support console mods if platforms restrictions allow it. You got to give them a little bit of credit here, guys, because there are... What other games do you have out there besides Fallout? Fallout 4 has... I've never seen mods as many as what Fallout 4 is. There's not a lot of games on console that allow mods. Let's give them a little bit of credit there. You get about 3% credit there. We offer support to our modders and create ways to contact us. I don't buy it. I don't believe it, and I don't think the modding community believes that. You may have ways to contact them, but I don't believe you support the modding community like you say. Not in that fashion. I know as we go down, there are other things that they're going to say that they do for the modding community, but if they did, they wouldn't be screwing over other modders. But anyways, so here's what I always wondered. We offer monetary rewards to Mod Hub modders. So they do pay their modders. In some way, some fashion. It just is monetary. That means money to me, but it doesn't mean money to everybody. But I'm pretty sure that the actual definition of monetary means money. You're paid for something. So they do pay the modders. And that's why a lot of the modders are such knob gobblers for Giants. We reward success with physical awards, number of downloads. So the more downloads your mod gets, the more accolades you're going to get with Giants. So why is 82 Studios not at the very top of your list of the all-time mods? The TLX Phoenix, that whole line, Winterwolf, TLX Phoenix, the X2 attachments, had to be clearly some of the best mods in FS22. But yet, we just now got the Phoenix. But maybe he submitted it late. I don't know. We're only hearing, our side of the story. We're not hearing what Giants has to say about whenever he submitted his mod. Maybe when he submitted the TLX Phoenix for 25, there was 2,000 mods in front of him. I don't know. We allow modders to donate earnings and match the sum on our end. I have no idea what that means. I'll be honest, I don't know what that means. We allow modders to donate earnings. To me, that sounds like you're saying the modders can give you money. Screw you, I'm not giving you any money. I already gave you $90 for a broken game that it took 4 months for you to get working correctly. So if I was a modder, I wouldn't give you a cent. We provide official modding tutorials with every major release. Now that is true, guys. They do. You can download all the stuff to make mods directly from Giants. They have tutorial videos. A caveat: they're only free if you buy a certain version of the game. Right? So remember that, because I looked into it and I actually have them on my other PC. We dedicate a significant portion of FarmCom to modding. I have no idea what that means. We connected modding to our partner program with more benefits. I assume that means that, like, these big streamers out there that are partners with Giants get more benefits, I assume. We offer mods on our own and convert older content faster and for free. Let's talk about that for a second. Now, Giants and everybody knows that console is limited on storage space. It's like, what, 8177, something to that effect. It's 81 and change. But I'm going to say it out loud that there are very few Giants mods that are worth a crap. Who gives a shit? You should have just released it with the damn game. All you're doing is releasing crap that somebody may want, and then they have to download it, which takes away from their space. On console, I only had like 5 maps total, and that's including the base game maps, because some of those maps are huge. So it's like you have to pick and choose. And yet here's Giants releasing all these mods that all say Giant software, Giant software, Giant software. And they expect you to download them, but yet you're limited on console. It's horseshit. All right, so it says let's take a look at the testing process. Testing, no matter what, takes up quite a lot of time, whether it's a game, a downloadable content, or a mod. So far, we have tested over 1,500 modifications since Farming Simulator 25 was released. That I can believe. I'm sure they were flooded when they first started. When 25 was announced, I'm sure they were just goat hunched with millions of mods. Maybe not millions, but thousands, hundreds, whatever. This is done by our QA team alongside testing of patches, free content, upcoming content, and a lot of other responsibilities of game testers, other than analyzing and collecting bugs. They do way more. Here's what the usual testing loop looks like. Well, okay, here's the thing. If you're behind, if it's too much work, I don't know. How could I fix that situation? Oh! I could hire more people. Alright, so step 1 says mod creation and self-testing. Obviously, it's where the modder is going to create their mod. They're going to test it themselves. They might even send it to their buddies. And I do know that a lot of people do that. There are some modders out there like, hey, I'm looking for some testers, yada, 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 yada. And then they submit it to the mod hub, and it's in the queue for testing. So it says step 2, our mod hub team processes mods in the order they were submitted or last modified. That was a big complaint throughout the modding community, where they were saying Giants was screwing the modders and they were making people wait. Well, Giants is saying they don't do that. What do you want me to say? I can't call Giants a liar for that. I can't, because I don't know. I don't know if, for example, the TLX Phoenix, like I said earlier, was it released on time? Did he release it to the mod hub? All I know is it does suck, because we were getting some of the dumbest mods, and we waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited for something decent to come out. But what can you say to that? You can't call them a liar, because you don't know. I don't know. All I know is what we see. It says no reservations. If a modder recalls their mod, it goes to the back of the queue. Basic check is performed to see if the mod meets basic submission standards. Does it have proper screenshots? Does the mod description and mod icon look correct? Now that one doesn't make any sense to me, because I know everybody's going to the mod hub and you click on a mod and it literally says $1,000. Oh, okay, but I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm looking at and I'm like, well, how many liters is that? It doesn't even say how many liters it holds. And it happens on silos a lot. So, fail. Does it appear to have been tested by the author? Right? We have no way to know that. Only Giants would know that. So step 3, it goes to PC. It says the mod passes the initial review. It moves on to PC testing, where the test team evaluates functionality, stability, and compliance. And there's where I'm starting to call the horse shit, because of some of the broken ass crap that we got towards the end of FS22, and it wasn't even towards the end. This was I don't know, June, July, before the game was ever even going to be released. If problems are found, the following actions are taken. Minor problems. Example, outdated mod description version will be fixed internally. Major issues are reported to the modder, who can fix and resubmit. Resubmitted mods go into a shorter queue specifically for fixes, ensuring that they are processed faster than new submissions. I mean, what can you say? I mean, you can't call that a lie, because we don't know. Console testing. Once a mod passes PC testing, it moves on to console testing. If it is compliant for consoles, the console testing phase checks shader compatibility. Any issues must be resolved before approval. There was one, I think, where they were saying something about the mirrors on a truck. I don't recall who the modder was, but then the modder would resubmit it saying it's just the dirt on the mirrors. There is no dirt on the mirrors. That's just the way they look. Giants kept sending it back to him saying, no, it's not correct because the mirror's, dirty or some crazy crap. So that's how that goes. And then here's your big one, slot count calculations, which are handled automatically, which Giants doesn't care about, or they wouldn't release dumb, stupid-ass mods for you to try to download that they should have just put in the game. Textures, files being loaded without issues. Mods with shader issues may be sent back for fixes. Entering again the shorter queue for resubmissions after being corrected. And then, of course, you got your final approval and release. If a mod passes both PC and console testing, it is moved to pending release status. It then waits to be released in the next scheduled Mod Hub update along PC-only mods that have also passed testing. So here's my question, though. If a mod for console was so much different than PC, then why was the Kinsey Multifruit planter that had an issue? It was now this goes back to Giants hand testing. They said that it was throwing up an error on PC, so they had to remove the roller. Well, how come Giants didn't catch that? Why didn't the modder originally catch that? But anyways, going back to Giants, if it was hand tested, they should have known if it was throwing errors on PC, unless it was only throwing an error, say, every 2 days. My point is, though, is that this is where I call bullshit on hand testing mods, because there's just no way. Just like, like I said with Tobacco Wow Wow. It was literally unplayable. You couldn't save. It just froze. And that map still has issues. They ported it over to 25. It's one of my favorite freaking maps in the game. And they ported it over, and it still has some of the same issues from 22 with floating trees all over the place. You cut down a tree, and the branches just hang up in the air until you get rid of the stump. And I assume that those just aren't issues for Giants. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It says, what are mods? I know nothing, but we're not going to get into all that. I just wanted to get into their explanation on mods and why they take so long, and my rebuttal. And, again, I give Giants credit where credit's due. I really will. I have no doubt that they're just flooded with bullshit every day. You see it in the forums with just regular modders. Is it available on console? Is it available on console? I mean, you get that so much. And it's just, I'm like, welcome to the internet. What are you going to do? There is an idiot born every minute, and there's nothing you can do to prevent it. Okay? But as far as Giants goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give them a 5. A 5 out of 10 is the best I can do with this horseshit. But this will help you understand a little bit better why things take so long, and maybe why we don't get the mods you want right away. Maybe the modders didn't submit them in time, and they're behind 1,000 other mods. Or they could have had a dirty mirror, and Giants didn't like that, so they sent it back. And I'm not knocking them for that. I'm really not, because you and I have no idea what literally goes on at Giants headquarters or whatever. We really don't know. And we can sit out here and talk all this crap, and even what I'm saying. it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Giants is Giants. Giants is going to do what they want. At least now the game is playable. And at least now we have some decent mods. But I will not tell you to take what you get. I will not tell you that. That's what modders say when they want to put out half-ass stuff. I will not tell you that. If the mod's not working correctly, you got to report it. It's just that simple. But also, I've always said it, and I do it every video that I do a mod on. If you like the mod and it's working good, make sure you give the modders a good review. There has to be, a line that you have to be at. If you're going to complain about stuff not working, then you need to make sure you report it not working. But if it is working, you also have to go and make sure you let the modders know that it is working with a good rating or whatever have you. There's a fine line there. And I make sure that I do both. I had a live the other day where something wasn't working. And I let them know. So that's another example for hands-on. With, the auto feeders on the dairy barns not working correctly. They would know that if it was hands-on. The Giants would know that. They would also know that it's reporting that you have 85,000 manure, but yet you're only getting like 40,000. So Giants would know that if they actually hand-tested that. That's why I call that that's just outright lie. But guys, that's all I got for you today. I wanted to share this with you. I hope you have a great afternoon, and until next time.